Hello, I'm Julie Van Horn, and this is my video introduction for my e-portfolio, completed in partial fulfillment of the Master's of Education degree in Instructional Technology at the University of South Florida. The Association for Educational Communication and Technology, or AECT, developed and adopted national standards for professional education that guided my work in the Instructional Technology program. In this e-portfolio, I reflect on the AECT standards and how my work in the program met these standards. My homepage contains a 500-word autobiographical narrative where I discuss my educational and work history and how the program helped me expand my knowledge and contributed to the achievement of personal and career goals. I have 2 prior degrees in science fields, so this foray into education is new to me. Throughout my work experience, I have always been happiest when constructing learning experiences for others, so it is only natural that this program appealed to me so much. At the top of the page, you will find minimal navigation. Clicking on Menu shows a drop-down with the different parts of the site, including course artifacts that represent the AECT standards, resume, contact information, and a final reflection. The AECT standard artifacts are the heart of the site. As you enter this part, you will see a brief introduction to the standards and a general description of how the course artifacts you will soon see demonstrate mastery of each of them. Beginning with Standard 1, Content Knowledge, and for each subsequent standard, you will see a description of each standard and a list of its substandards, along with the course artifacts I chose to represent as evidence of mastery. I will take you through each one. Let's get started with Standard 1. For Substandard 1.1, Creating, I selected an artifact that was created for the class Current Trends in Instructional Design, taught by Dr. Park. Using Articulate Storyline, I put together a series of screencasts highlighting the different capabilities of PixieClip, a simple web-based screencasting tool that could be used in education. You can view the entire presentation here. For Substandard 1.2, Using, an artifact created for Dr. Fenton's The Adult Learner involved a scenario in which I devised an effective learning experience. My document guided course developers by drawing upon primary literature and taking into account learner profiles and environments. Here is the research paper. The artifact I chose for Substandard 1.3, Assessing and Evaluating, was one that I completed for Dr. Park's Current Trends in Instructional Design. I reviewed 2 educational games as to their use of gaming principles and achievement of learning goals. Click View Artifact to see the result. I selected an additional artifact for this substandard. For the final project for Dr. Park's Current Trends in Instructional Design, I researched and compiled a paper and presentation about the future of science in higher education. I evaluated the usefulness of new technology in future educational settings. Here's the paper, which includes my vision of a technology-based classroom. Now we move on to Standard 2, Content Pedagogy. Representative of the first substandard, 2.1, is a graphical illustration built for Dr. Hatton's instructional graphics class. I researched the system, selected a mnemonic and an example, and constructed a graphical illustration to communicate the information effectively using design principles. You can see it here. To represent Substandard 2.2, I selected the cumulative group project done for Problems in Instructional Design, taught by Dr. Smith. The learning module I created with Christina Murphy and Melissa Perkins helped teachers support the learning of blind or visually impaired students in a science classroom. We implemented many instructional and graphic design principles to make this happen, as you will see when you view the entire module by clicking here. For Substandard 2.4, Managing of Technological Processes and Resources, I selected a comic strip that I created for Psychological Foundations of Education, taught by Dr. Lopez. The comic strip demonstrated a concept of learning theory that welcomed diversity in the classroom because of the different perspectives various cultures bring. Both the way I communicated the information and the topic of the comic strip show the ability to use technology and support diverse learning. Standard 3 is about learning environments. The artifact I chose to represent Substandard 3.1, Creating, is a learning aid about how to succeed in an online class that I created for Dr. Hatton's Online Teaching and Learning. I researched effective online learning tactics and arranged them in an attractive layout using Canva.com. Here's what it looks like. For Substandard 3.2, Using, I selected a narrated PowerPoint created for online teaching and learning taught by Dr. Hatton. I researched information and compiled it using attractive and clear visual aids along with voice narrative to expand the modalities used. You may view the entire presentation here. Another artifact from Online Teaching and Learning represents Substandard 3.3. For this course assignment, I researched learning management systems, selected one, and assessed its potential utility in education. Here is the artifact. Standard 4 addresses professional knowledge and skills. To represent Substandard 4.1, I chose the online practicum assignment completed for Dr. Hatton's Online Teaching and Learning, which required me to build and launch a small online teaching module, enroll and involve students, and discuss my experience with small groups within the Online Teaching and Learning course. The assignment required collaboration both with my students and with my fellow learners going through the process with me. Here you can view the online learning module I set up using Weebly for Education. Substandard 4.2 is about leadership. In a group project for Psychological Foundations of Education, I took the lead on researching Vygotsky and developing the framework of a concept map that was to include the theories of both Vygotsky and Piaget. Together we researched the topic and drew a detailed concept map comparing and contrasting the two different theories of cognitive development. Here is what it looks like. For Substandard 4.5, Ethics, I selected one of the videos created for Dr. Kolak's digital video class. Every video made for this class was required to include subtitles for the hearing impaired. I learned that improving accessibility for people with disabilities ultimately improves accessibility and makes for a better experience for everyone, such as people who may not understand spoken English or have access to audio capabilities. Click to watch the video. Finally, we are at Standard 5, Research. Here's what I selected to represent Substandard 5.1. Psychological Foundations of Education, taught by Dr. Lopez, required me to write a mini research paper investigating a research topic in education. I described my research question, which was evaluating the effectiveness of non-traditional approaches to higher education laboratory safety training, and investigated it in the primary literature, paying special attention to the theoretical framework and how the non-traditional approach affected demonstrations of safety knowledge and safety culture. You may look at the paper in its entirety here. For Substandard 5.2, Method, I selected a research proposal created for Foundations in Educational Research, taught by Dr. Jones. I reviewed the literature, defined a research question, which was to investigate how training in pedagogy and safety culture awareness affects safety behavior, and described a methodology to answer it. This is the entire proposal for you to see. Substandard 5.3 is about assessing and evaluating. I selected a case analysis compiled for Psychological Foundations of Education, taught by Dr. Lopez. I researched and wrote about the best strategies to teach an adult learner using knowledge of their individual learner profile. Some strategies work better than others depending on the learner, and for this case study, I evaluated what works best for an adult in a particular situation. Here is the resulting paper. Reflecting back on my experience in the instructional technology program, I have to say I am impressed with the breadth and depth of the knowledge I gained. Sometimes I was led, sometimes I was the leader, and sometimes I was an equal collaborator in my education. I feel well prepared to participate on a professional level with peers and colleagues in the field. Thanks to all the wonderful faculty and my peers who went through the process with me. I can honestly say it has changed my perspective of teaching and learning and challenged me to be a better educator.